Hi, and thank you so much for joining me today for another process video. And today is day 2 of Christie's Beautiful Life, round 10 of 30 days of sketches. Today's sketch, you will have just seen at the beginning there, is by Crafty Meggy, and it's beautiful. She used a lot of florals in her sketch, and it's not something that I use an awful lot in my scrapping. If you've been following my channel, you will have seen that. I wanted to scrap these photos of my son at the beginning of lockdown. He really got interested in doing some woodwork and things, and it was glorious weather, as you probably remember if you're in the UK. So he got his workbench out and started cutting up some pallets that we had in the driveway. So I've pulled out my Spectrum Sherbet 49 from 49 and Market, and I've pulled out all of the hot pink colours pieces to go with the Liverpool shirt that he's wearing, and the green bits to go with the green of the grass. I think they're the two predominant colours in those photos, so I wanted to pick those out. So you'll see I matted the photo onto white cardstock and scuffed up the edges with my Tim Holtz edge distresser, and then I actually used a piece of corrugated card from a cardboard box, just pulled off the top layer of that and layered the photos onto there. It was to add a bit of dimension and also to emulate the woodwork that he's doing. The wood really was quite rough and he was planing it down, so I wanted to bring something with texture into the layout. So now I'm just tearing up some pieces of the Spectrum Sherbet paper and layering and matting. I want to create the mat as one piece so that I can lift it off and do some mixed media underneath. I'm actually going to pull out some Tim Holtz rubber stamps to do this, so I'm very excited to do that. So bringing in my EK Success notebook punch just to create some more texture along the bottom of the page there. So I'm just punching the edge, and then I'll trim off the excess paper because I can always use that for another edge and then rough it up, and that will go underneath. So now I'm happy with the positioning of those two pieces. I'm ready to start sticking things down. So just creating one big mat with this before going in with the other bits and pieces. And you'll see when I'm building and layering mats like this, I find that wet glue is by far the easiest thing to use, because then you can just keep things exactly where they are. Although having said that, I've just moved that, but you can keep things where they are and just squirt the glue underneath without having to lift it up and forget where the positioning was. So I decided to use double-sided tape for this just because I thought that was the best thing to stick the cardboard packaging down with. So making sure I get a strong bond with that. I toy with this piece, but it doesn't make it in the end. I decide that one of the laser cut label pieces is a better fit. And all the time I'm trying to get the balance right between using the pinks and the greens, not too much pink in the same area and not too much green in the same area. So you'll see I changed that label out in a minute because I wasn't happy with it being pink. I thought that I needed a bit more green on that side. So there we go, there I am just changing it. So just continuing to add a few scraps and bits and pieces to this mat until I'm happy, and once that's done I shall put that to one side and start working on the cluster in the top left hand corner. Again, in the sketch this was all florals, but I'm not going to do that, so I've pulled out some washi tape and I shall create a cluster using washi tape and some of the pieces from the Spectrum Sherbet collection. So just creating a nice mat with these strips of washi tape, all in the colours that I'm using in this layout, the greens, pinks and then blacks and greys. A strip of paper just to tie it all together. I love this chipboard piece that says "So Awesome," so I definitely want to add that up there in the corner. And then my favourite go-to element, just 3 circles of differing sizes all clustered together. And that circle says "All My Heart," and my son does have all my heart, well so does my daughter as well of course. But so just checking that I didn't want to use the paler colour of that green on the top piece, but I want to stick with the nice bright colours that we've got all over this layout. And now that's all stuck down, I can turn my attention to the mixed media. So coming in with my pencil per usual, just to draw a guideline of where this bottom mat goes so that I know exactly where to put my mixed media. And coming in with these new Stampers Anonymous rubber stamps from Tim Holtz. I love these, the grid in black I think is just gorgeous. So just stamping on a piece of scrap paper just to check that I'm happy with the stamped image. And then going in, and this is just going to peep out from behind the photo mat. You don't see the whole thing, but it really adds a nice different dimension to it. So I'm going in with the black soot to stamp these to start with. And then once I've done that, I'm going to look at the stamps to see what else I fancy from this set. And I see that bubble one. It's like a bubble wrap texture. So I'm going to go in with the green, the mowed lawn, and stamp that just above the over and above the grid that we've got there. So once I've gone in with the mowed lawn, I'll then go in with a pink. And I've got 2 pinks that are suitable. One's worn lipstick and one's saltwater taffy. But I decide on the worn lipstick in the end because the saltwater taffy is slightly more peach. And I wanted the rich pink this time. So just rubbing off that green and then going in with the pink. I only want a tiny bit of pink here, just to bring that in, and it really brightens up everything. That was very cool toned before I added that. So I like the look of it, but I want to get the most out of my Distress Oxides, so I'm just wetting some of these bubbles just with a small spray of water, and when it dries it really brings out, it fractionates all of the colours within the Distress Oxide. So it just blooms and looks absolutely gorgeous. It's well worth taking the time to do this. And now I've messed around with the water, changing the appearance of those bubbles ever so slightly, I'm going to go in and add some splatters. So starting with the worn lipstick, just adding those around the top and bottom cluster before I come back in with the photo mat. And while I was waiting for that to dry, I used my Ellie Studio label stamp to create this little label and one of the words from the everyday tabs to create a label that says "this moment," and that just finishes it off. It's really, really cute. So now coming in with these Amy Tangerine thickers to create my title, and my title is going to be Lockdown Lessons. Again, this is a photo from 2020 when we'd just got into lockdown in this country in March, and the kids had a lot of spare time on their hands. The schools weren't quite sure what they were going to do with them. They were setting lessons online, but just telling them what to do. There wasn't a specific online programme. So they were getting that done pretty quickly and then winding up with a lot of spare time. So that's what my journaling's explaining, just how much spare time they had and what they ended up doing. And that's what I should probably do with the photos of 2020. Because as I mentioned in my previous video, I haven't scrapped them up until now. I've been putting off because I wasn't quite sure how much information I wanted to add and how much I wanted to find out again, because of course you forget dates and things. But I think it's important to have these in our albums for the future. So another couple of labels that I'd stamped out, one with mowed lawn and one with antique linen, and just gluing those down there so that I can add my date stamp to them. So before going in with the date stamp, I want to add some more splatters. So starting with the black soot, again just where I put the pink, so adding it around the top and then around the edge of the photo mat. And then when I've done the black soot, I realised that I do need to go in with some mowed lawn as well, just to keep it all together. So where I've added that "this moment" label, I realise there's a bit of a gap at the end of the "this moment" phrase. So I find some little hearts from an old Cocoa Vanilla collection, enamel hearts, and just add one of those. And then I go round with a couple of enamel dots to finish it off. Thank you so much for joining me. Please do check the description box down below to see everybody else who's joining in on this fabulous op. There's a playlist for you to see them all, and I'll leave you with some close-ups of the layout. Thank you so much. Bye.